Okay, so I just read this amazing novel in verse. It's called Alone by Megan Freeman. Oh my goodness. I want to tell you every single thing that happens in this book because it is one of those books where when you read it, you just want to tell everyone about it, but you also don't want anyone to know anything about it because I went in pretty blind. And I will tell you, my mind was completely blown. So we're gonna talk about that today. My name is Colby Sharp. I'm a 5th grade teacher in Michigan. Welcome to my channel where we try to help kids fall in love with reading. And one way that we do that is by talking about books like this. If you are new, please consider subscribing so that you can get a notification anytime I'm this excited about a book. So a lot of my friends have been talking about Alone. I love Hatchet. I love survival stories. I love Wild Robot. So I was like, okay, Alone, a journey, like this girl looks like she's on the ice, maybe like she gets separated from her friends or something. No, like this book is so wild. It's novel in verse. I don't know if I said that or not. Reading it, we'll get to that in a minute. Novel in verse, but it's just like wild. So Maddie, 12 years old, her and her friends, they live in Colorado. The plan is to have a sleepover. Maddie's parents are divorced, so she does a thing where she tells Dad she's gonna be at mom's, mom she's gonna be at dad's. Her grandparents have like an apartment in the town that they live, but they're not there at the moment. So she takes the key from her dad, and they're all gonna tell their friends and family that they're somewhere else. Right, so that's the plan. As you know from watching movies and reading books, this plan and living life, this plan's not gonna work, right? But there's also like this weird stuff going on with the government and the military and their community. And when I was reading, I was like, I don't really know what the point of this is. So she ends up staying at grandparents' apartment, but her friends have to back out. So she's all alone. And then like something happens at night, the trucks roll in and all this stuff happens. And like you hear someone outside and they're like, no one lives here. There is just a summer house. And then come to find out, the next morning, there's nobody left in town, like no one. And there are like these giant drums of cell phones. And when she tries to call her mom to see what's going on, she hears her mother's specialized ringtone. In one of the barrels, she calls her dad, here's his phone, friend's phone. And she had received these wild messages at night from her parents saying, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're with your dad. And then her mom's like, I'm so glad, or dad's like, I'm so glad you're with your mom. We're gonna get this figured out. It's gonna be okay. She has no idea what's going on. So she's all alone. There's no one. She has no idea what's going on, no idea where anyone's at. And there's so much more that I want to tell you about. I want to talk about the entire book with you. But you just need to read it. And then you're gonna feel the same way, and then you can come and talk to me. Send me an email, colbysharp@gmail.com, and we can talk about the book. But you have to experience this book because it is such a wild ride. I would have loved this book as a kid. Like, I would have devoured this book. I would have read it multiple times. I would have been completely captivated, and I would have been like the only time I would have talked to my friends about something other than sports. Because this book is so good. It's so wild. Like, it just blew my mind. And it was one of those things where, like, as I got further and further in the book, I read it over the weekend. And last week we finished our read aloud. I kept thinking, I'm going to read this aloud to my 5th graders. I'm going to read this aloud to my 5th graders. So I have to finish it to make sure it's okay as read aloud, and so that I know what happens. And I just had to finish it. So I finished it. And then today we got to class, and I kind of talked over the top how excited I was about this book with my students who read like the first 50 pages. Granted, it's a novel in verse, and the kids are all in. They're all in. And you will be too. I highly recommend Alone by Megan E. Freeman. It is a novel in verse that you will not want to miss. It is a book that you will want to talk about with all of the readers in your life. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Colby Sharp. I hope you have an awesome, fantastic